Welcome back, everyone. It's Austin Revel here with 2F by C Tactical. To just give kind of my brief thoughts on what just happened here in Minnesota with Governor Walz. Obviously, he had a press conference earlier today, and a lot of words, a lot of anger. But what does it mean? He's going to sign an executive order, which he did do, two of them, in fact. One establishes a gun violence committee, and the other one mandates that local authorities and like the BCA make gun violence prevention a priority. I have some thoughts on this. First off, there's what he said and then what he did. Those are two different things. So when it comes to what he said,
there's too damn many guns and the wrong types of guns on the street. And I don't want to hear how do you define assault weapon. I damn sure can assign what it is and describe what it is and tell you what it does. And unfortunately, we have a whole bunch of parents now who know a lot more about what these weapons were meant to do. Not meant to shoot deer. They're not meant to plink. Whoever a Republican senator said he likes to plink, and how dare we take away his plinking. They're meant to kill large numbers of people as quickly as possible and with as much damage as they can possibly do.
And he said that, don't give me you need to define an assault weapon. I damn well can define an assault weapon. That's what he literally said, without ever giving an explanation of what a quote-unquote assault weapon is, right? And I think that's really what this comes down to. It's semantic wordplay. For lack of a better word. And in terms of what do these executive orders actually do, the answer is nothing. They do nothing, because establishing a gun violence prevention committee, a group of individuals that are going to sit in a room and have highfalutin arguments about gun violence and its root causes. Does that actually implement any action? And the reason why is in 2015 there was an update to the law here in Minnesota of what the executive branch of the governor's office can actually do, and you have to pass these kind of things to the legislative branch. That's what that is. So at the end of the day, the whole purpose of that press conference was to basically virtue signal. I don't dive into political stuff too much. Of course, I'm like every human. I have my own political opinions. I'm just bullish on the Second Amendment. So when it comes to the Second Amendment, it shall not be infringed is the literal law of the land. And for all the people who bring up a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's the whole Second Amendment. And they go like, well, it says well-regulated. What they mean is well-trained. Regulated back then meant that it was a trained standing militia. That's what we're talking about. It's not that there was regulations on the militia. It was that it was regularly practiced. That's all. So when he talks about assault weapons and stuff like that, the Second Amendment definitely covers those quote-unquote assault weapons. Whatever his definitions are, he's refused to give it to us. When it comes to these committees, there is a loser in the committees, and that's us, the taxpayer, because we're going to be paying for these people to sit on these committees to discuss things of which they have no outcome. They're literally not going to produce anything unless something changes in the legislature and they pass that through the legislative branch, both in the House and the Senate, and then the governor signs it. Nothing changes. When it comes to mandating, state agencies to make gun violence a priority, and we all know what's going on in this state when it comes to fraud. And I do think, again, I'm not going to wade into the politics much here on fraud. I very much have my opinions on that, and I think what we've seen is disgusting. And it's not, I want this to be about guns on this particular channel. I do have a podcast, a Lexington and Concord podcast with my brother Alex, where we will delve into stuff like that. But when it comes to the 2F by C channel, we try to keep it just about firearms. Unfortunately, politics does come into play. It should not, because the Bill of Rights is for all political parties and all people. It doesn't matter if you're right, left, or center. It doesn't matter. God gave it to us, not the government. But getting off that sidetrack there, I do believe this was a play to try to distract from, say, some fraud issues that is going on in the state of Minnesota. That's just personal opinion when it relates to guns. As far as directing, though, these agencies, I got to say, I really hope and pray that all these agencies are already making violence a priority. You know, do you really need an executive order to direct agencies to make gun violence, quote unquote, gun violence a priority, right? And what do you mean by gun violence, too? Because are we talking suicides? Well, that's one vein that has a very, very specific solution to it, mental health, right? And that's not something that necessarily law enforcement necessarily can fix. So I think it does mean when you say gun violence, are we talking about anti-gang task forces and stuff that was disbanded in the state? Like actually going to the root of the problem, you know? You would hope that these agencies, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the BCA, which is our overarching criminal organization here in the state, whether the state troopers, local law enforcement, sheriffs, whatever, I would hope they're already working on the violence, you know, like it's already a priority over, say, traffic tickets. You would certainly hope that's the case. If you feel like you need an executive order for that, maybe that says something about what the priorities of these organizations are and less so of the because the violence has been here for a while, right? And again, we're going to see a lot of this. I'm just going to prep you guys. We're going to see a lot of this going into 2026. It's an election year, you know, both federally and at least here in Minnesota and the state. Not every state, obviously. Every state has different electoral cycles, but in Minnesota, we have our Senate, House, and Governor and Attorney General and all up in 2026. Obviously, you can kind of put the political priors into the different categories and figure out who's on what side. That's just kind of a quick update. You know, should you be worried about this executive orders? I mean, as a taxpayer, of course, yes. I mean, money is going to be flowing to things that may not have our best interest at heart, obviously. But when it comes to what is actually going to change in terms of what can I buy and what I can't buy, absolutely nothing. If we're being honest, nothing's going to change. So that's just kind of where we're at. When it comes to the state of Minnesota, guys, please reach out to Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. Support them. There's somebody who does stand up for our rights inside the state capitol. There's a ton of great organizations out there like Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, our National Association for Gun Rights, of course, Second Amendment Foundation and Firearms Policy Coalition, all those guys, and absolutely support them. And a lot of those lawsuits do work their way down into the state level. And we've seen the Trump administration with their new 2A Civil Rights Division really try to go to work on state law without touching federal. And again, that's a whole different video. We're going to definitely talk about that. But at least for this and for today, just stay vigilant out there and keep fighting to gain ground on our rights, and do pay attention as we go into the new year in 2026 on who's running and what their stances are when it comes to the Second Amendment. Because right now, I'm just going to be frank with you, it's a 50-50 split in the House, and it's DFL controlled here in Minnesota in the Senate and then the executive branch. If we did not have that 50-50 split, this is not the Senate federally where you need 60 votes in the Senate to pass anything. You only need 51. You only need 51. You only need that 51%. I shouldn't say 51. You only need 51% in order to pass something. So be very aware of that, because if the balance shifts, this does give you an idea of what they're trying to do moving forward. There will be a semi-automatic rifle ban. There will be magazine bans, probably mandatory storage laws, and it will probably be mandatory insurance, and all the things you see out in California, for instance, will come here for sure. We do kind of, unfortunately, look at ourselves as California light, and we're becoming less light, more heavy every day. Until next time, though, guys, please keep tuning in. Our From the Vault series is going to be coming back here pretty soon. We got some exciting rifles and stuff coming up for you guys, and Merry Christmas, and looking forward to the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe.